Hello everyone, this is Professor Reha here with the Grim Dawn walkthrough. I think I've now figured out, my schedule and everything. I figured out how to adjust for it, so I should be more regular at this point. But what we're going to do is go to Malmouth and we're going to clear out and finish off. Well, I probably won't actually finish off the Malmouth area in retrospect because, quite frankly, I remember now that it's basically set up or divided, so to speak, into two separate places. So this time we'll go through the first half of Malmouth, the city, and then in the next episode we'll actually finish it. But I don't think it's actually reasonable for me to finish Malmouth in any kind of decent amount of time for an episode, because it's just that big of well, I wouldn't say it's that big of an area, but it is divided into two separate sections. So that's really where we're going to go with this. So we'll go through the first half of Malmouth in this episode, and the next episode we will definitely be finishing Malmouth off. Because technically we're still not even in Malmouth proper, we're still in the outskirts. We've just reached the gate, technically, but we're not going directly into the city, as you can see. We're kind of wandering off around the perimeter of it still. So there is that. Also, I have to start saving up money for actually being able to dismantle or take out my points here so I can start boosting up Overguard for the Staunch and Colossal Bulwark, which is absolutely huge. This is going to be amazing. But I have time for that because my mouse is acting up. I'm also not level 70 yet, so I do have some time to work on that. That's an area that I've already been to, but doesn't matter. Okay, I thought maybe there'd be a dead body there or something that I could kick over, but no. So the nice thing about the Cold Lightning build is that it has, well, the nice thing about most builds, I believe I've covered this before, but the nice thing about most builds is that, yes, most builds do have a second damage type that they offer that you can utilize in extreme cases of enemies who are resistant to one particular one of them. Now, this isn't always necessarily true, keep in mind. The Pierce Resistance I can use. The lightning damage is nice. The increased health is nice. The damage to undead is applicable because technically everything I'm going to be fighting is undead. Most, if not everything. I can't guarantee everything. I lose the Warcry boost, but I'm not using it. I have almost as much stun duration reduction. I lose a bit of Cunning, and I lose Battle Cry, but that's okay. The Pierce Resistance is slightly more important. Another one of these. They really love giving me those. Not bad, definitely. But also not good enough. Cold Retaliation is just too powerful for this combination. No, those are weak sauce boots. So, now we are wandering off into the Merry Blue yonder, which is the sewer pipe here. This is where the Resistance is. So we will wander through here. Excuse me. This is technically the first part that I was talking about, unofficially. Mostly because you have to actually whack your way through the sewers, get to where the Resistance is. And then once you get through the sewers, then you're actually in Malmouth. You work your way to the center of Malmouth, and then you actually face off against the boss, and then you're done with Malmouth. So this area itself is interesting, including its noises. Terrible. So here we go. Very nice. Hello. Get this guy out of the way. There's a lot of those. Those are technically not undead, I don't believe. I don't think they're considered undead, but I think pretty much everything else here is. But don't quote me on that necessarily. This area is pretty quick to get through if you are trying to just blitz through it, but it takes much longer to actually fully explore it because even though there's only really... It's fairly linear, but you have a choice of a couple of different directions you can get to your destination, as you can see from here, so there's not... Actually working your way through it in a speedrun type way or a blitz way is way faster than fully exploring it, because you have to do a certain amount of minor backtracking to, you know, get to all of the areas you haven't been to in a given section of the sewers. So it is a bit painy in that particular regard. But otherwise we are completely fine. So this will take me quite a bit longer than it would normally take me if I were to just try and blitz through this, because again, you've heard this thousands of times, I am showing the newer players all of the areas as well, as much as I can, so there will be a lot of going over areas I've already been to, just so I can go to some other area that I haven't already visited, so the newer players can see it. Is this blocked off? It should not be, but strangely it is. Alright, the map is totally lying to me, which is interesting. But okay. That shouldn't technically be blocked off according to the map, but there we have it. Survive, adapt, overcome. Now, yes, you may have noticed that our lovely little worms don't get frozen. So this is going to be a mild hindrance to the build. Obviously, I'm strong enough where it's not really going to matter. My equipment is good enough where it doesn't matter. If you're a little underleveled and you're using a cold build, this might be a problem, depending on what else you've built too. But overall, it's not too big of a deal if you have some kind of secondary damage type or some other way of keeping enemies off of you. So don't worry about it too much. We're actually going to go the other way because there's enemies that way. Also, there's a hero apparently. Doggedus Aetherflame. Haven't I already killed you? You seem familiar. Have I murdered you before? Alright, slap all of you. There you go. Come on, there you go. Somebody's healing like some kind of lunatic. I think it's Doggedus. Hogris Aetherflame, excuse me. An Aetherstorm. Why on earth would you drop one of these? I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I am. That's fairly nonsense. A lot of this is just not going to be good enough. This has potential, but it doesn't do the cold damage I needed to. So it's kind of like, okay. And these guys are gone, not even a problem. There we go. You may have noticed that the overall broad elemental damage types pattern is continuing on through the Ethereal Vanguard. Ta-da! Yes, this is really primarily where you're going to get most of your rep gains with the Black Legion. Because outside of here, there's not really a whole lot of Ethereal Vanguards. Actually, I would say Malmouth is pretty much the only place they consistently spawn. You may see one or two as a hero, you know, in various other places. Possibly. Really depends on RNG, but for consistent Ethereal Vanguard spawns, this is the only place. So, well, this and technically Malmouth obviously itself and Malmouth's outskirts, but you know what I'm talking about. The extended area of Malmouth, the Morndale Plains as well, but that's only 50% Ethereal, as you saw. The other 50% is Chthonic, so there is that to consider as well. But overall, it's a good time. Just trying to make sure that I'm not... I think, yeah, we'll go over here and visit this other location first really quick. There's a chest here, which is fine. Fairly useless chest, it is not fine. There's a dead end up here I did not visit. I just want to make sure there's no useful chests. There is a chest, but is it a useful chest? Also. Huh. That's terrible. This is the easy way. Oh no, they have shot me with a single lightning bolt. Oh, 2 lightning bolts. I like how the body's just collapsing into the ravine. This is a good time. Boom. Yeah, I knew he would die. Can I hit these? Yes. Can I hit this? Yes, nice. I don't know why. Well, I don't know where you came from. I thought I killed all of you, but oh, here's some more individuals. No. We have plenty of energy. Look at that. There we go. I didn't need to necessarily do that way, but if you are a little under-leveled, or if you have concerns about your ability to withstand large quantities of enemies, that's a really nice way of doing things. You obviously don't always have the opportunity to do that, and having a gun really helps as well. But if you can do it and you're concerned about your actual level, go right on ahead. There are a couple of places in the game where you can do that. That's just the first I've showed. But it did occur to me that maybe it would be a good idea for people to see that there are locations in which you can do that, where you can kind of kill enemies from a distance, get a leg up on sort of the ability to do that. Do I have the dynamite for this? I have a stick, so I can't remember how many sticks it takes, so hopefully it takes that many. Or they'll drop me some dynamite later. I need these drink gloves right now. Interesting belt. Too bad I don't replace that poison acid resistance that I really need. At least for now. Well, no, I'm actually going to need it for the duration of the game, since there's a decent amount of poison and acid damage that occurs in Forgotten Gods. So, essentially speaking, once you get about halfway through the main campaign, well, no, actually, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to make a bold statement and say poison and acid is fairly highly represented, to the point where you should always be thinking about having over 50% of that if you can get your hands on it. 3 dynamite. Alright, yeah. So, the reason why is because, obviously, the early ethereals, the regular ethereal enemies, have the poison-spewing zombies. That goes without saying. It's not a large portion of their damage composition, but it is present. So a little bit helps if you're going up against the regular ethereals. Same thing with the vanguards. There's some present. Not a ton, but enough where you would at least want to be keeping a fairly stable level of high-ish poison and acid resistance. Then we come to beasts. Again, not necessarily massively represented, but there are a decent number of beast enemies that do poison damage. For example, the hornets, which are rather prolific in certain specific areas of the game. As an example, the Cronley's gang, I would say, is one of the very few groups in the game that does not actively utilize poison and acid damage. So, Cronley's gang, go ahead and throw it away. You're not going to need it against Cronley or his groupies. So that doesn't make any kind of difference there whatsoever. I need dynamite desperately. So, for Cronley, yeah, you can forget about it. They all do pierce and fire damage and ethereal damage. The occasional hero doing some other kind of damage. I need to craft some dynamite, which I believe is Homestead. So, yeah, Cronley's gang, it's a bust. The undead, the Arcovian undead, also don't use it, so you can also ignore it there. But beyond that, pretty much everyone else uses it. That's right. Could be interesting. I don't need it, though. But I need is dynamite. Now, yes, first off, I would like to point out the fact that you can only craft dynamite once you hit Homestead, because this blacksmith is the only one that crafts it. I'm sorry, no, that's not quite correct. I believe the one in the Necropolis is also capable of crafting dynamite, and maybe the one in the Conclave of the Three, but don't quote me on that, I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure the one in the Necropolis can do it too, unless I'm mistaken. Either the one in the Necropolis can do it, or the one in in the Conclave of the Three can do it. I cannot remember which one. One of the two can do it, though. There's two blacksmiths that can craft you dynamite. Now, the reason why we want to go in here is because this is fairly good for farming up Aether Crystals. I do occasionally come in here if I'm really desperate for Aether Crystals, and I've already farmed the other locations. We've, of course, got all of this delicious experience we are looking to get. I would like to hit level 65, ideally. That would be very nice. I probably will. If I don't hit 65 for this episode, I'm definitely hitting it next episode. Pretty much guaranteed. Unless I die a horrific amount of times, which is unlikely. I'm a fairly tanky combination. I'm building decently tanky, so it's just not that likely. Also, honestly, at this point, dynamite should not be too expensive to craft, even if this is your first ever run and you're a new player. You should have 5,000 iron, you should have enough big Aether Crystals to actually pretty effectively build one, since it only takes one of those, and just going through the Necropolis, going through the earlier points of Malmouth, going through just the first part of Port Valberry, should net you all of the Aether Crystals you need here. He's poison, which is again another example of some semi-random insertion of poison. We're going to get rid of this really quick. There we go. Now that all of his cronies are dead, except for this one guy back behind me, I don't know what his problem is, but let's see if we can... There we go. We got a dub hit there. Nice. Goodbye. Okay, so we're just going to summon guys constantly. Alright, that's just inconvenient. You've activated Menhir's Will, so now I kind of need to focus on you and get you out of here. Which isn't going to take me long. Goodbye. Yeah. This is going to be a no compared to the shield I already have, because as you've probably noticed, it does not have the kind of block recovery that I'm looking for. It just cannot compare with the Colossal Bulwark. This is interesting. I don't do chaos damage, so that doesn't matter at all there. This is a fairly nice pair of boots. Is it good enough to replace the ones I've currently got? Maybe not. It doesn't have the vitality resistance, which I don't actually need, so that's fine, actually. Oh, it's got bleeding, yeah. I need the vitality resistance, excuse me. I had those flipped in my head, so we will not be equipping that unless things change. This is an interesting conversation. On the one hand, it does look like, yes, the superior Imperial Warhammer of Fury is better for me. But it does not have chilling presence, it does not have chilling weapons, it does not have the Winterbloom powder. I could enhance it with the Winterbloom powder, but it cannot factor in the drop in cold resistance enemies are getting, which is pretty huge to this build. Cold resistance reduction is always an extremely big deal if you're focusing on a very small amount of damage types like this build is with 2. At least so far it is. I might change that later. Or even change what 2 damage types it's doing. But right now none of that is important. What we have is Cold and Lightning and a weapon that decreases Cold and Lightning resistance, which is substantially more powerful than the small benefit and damage that we apparently would get out of the Warhammer, but is mildly exaggerated. Stories of its greatness are greatly exaggerated. So now we are just going to waltz on through. We're going to head up this way. Find absolutely nothing but this little corpse, which had some tonics, I guess, which is fine. And I believe this is going to be the rebel group. Yep. Now these enemies are quite another story. In future, you will see that it's going to be fairly interesting. Get rid of these guys really quick. That landed almost exactly perfectly on each of those 3 guys. Now, there are a couple of quests we're going to pick up here, but nothing really substantial. Just at the... Yes. Yes. So, what we're going to do before we assign our points is wander around, make sure we've talked to everyone. Now, this is the quartermaster for specifically the Malmouth Resistance, which is a whole different kettle of fish. They have their whole other group. Even though we are not here terribly long, which can make actually leveling up their reputation a bit difficult. Let me see, where are they located? I've lost them in my thing. Hold on. Why can I not find them? Where are these people? Alright, well, I guess I can't find them right now, so I'm just having a brain cramp, so that's cool. The area itself is not large. Got this chest here. I'm sorry, that's a backpack, whatever. Yeah, that's just the way we're technically supposed to go. This is what I mean by it being broken up into 2 sections. You can't go past here to the Steel Cap District until you've taken care of everything in the Candle District, which is a totally... they're basically completely separate areas. So... yeah, right now what we really need to do is go back and adjust some skill points as much as we can at the... Actually, we can just go through here because that's a lot faster. At the good old Conclave of the 3. I suppose we can slap in the 2 points here. We'll sell to this guy, because most of the stuff that I've picked up, actually none of the stuff that I actually want here is... I just don't want anything here. Yeah, I know the Ascending Cows are monster infrequents, but I don't need them right now. I'm starting to run out of room on this character, so we're just going to pass right over that. Let me see. You can see where we're running out of room to store things. Eventually I'll have to start dismantling some of those for crafting materials. I've completely forgotten what to do with Travis's letter. I don't know why. I'm having a brain cramp about that, but it'll just stay there for the moment. Don't worry about it. This is fine. Pull these points out. We have 4 points to put towards Overguard. Now this is going to be fairly weak sauce at the moment, so don't worry too much about that. I did not put my Aether Crystals away, which I really need to. So what we're going to do is wander around the Candle District a little bit as well this episode, because frankly I can. It's technically part of the sewers. At least in my mind, I consider it part of that, so we're just going to go right on through that and do that. We were just trying to whack some cards. It's pretty much the Blood Cart quest from the end of the main campaign, just with the Ethereals. That's about the only difference. Well, and the motivation is a little different as well, but overall it's roughly the same quest. There's 3 cards, you gotta smash them. It's a good time. Everyone loves it. Brings smiles to all the children's faces. I can't get in here. Let me in. There we go. Bit of a game mishap there. This guy just lurking out here. Like a creeper. Alright. You need to stop healing people. Another empowered Fiendbinder's Hood. Really? Alright, fine. It's my second one now. My goodness. Give me something for me. We'll just go ahead and whack our way through here. There goes one of the carts. Yeah, like I said, if you have the elemental and aether resistances you need, this area is not difficult. That's really what it comes down to. All these areas are so much easier to tackle if you have the right resistances. You just need preparation. Well, preparation and at least good enough skills to, whack your enemies with, but that's nitpicking. Now, there are some areas in the game, you've heard me reference on whether or not I'll rush through an area or whatever. There are some areas that I take particularly slowly, for one reason or another. This is one of them. I generally, anywhere that has a large quantity of aether crystals lying around, I will generally go through slower so I can make sure that I get all of the aether crystals I can. As you may have noticed, I have something of an aether crystal management problem, so I need as many as I can get my hands on, since I tend to use them for, well, frankly, a lot of different things. You may or may not, depending on how often you change up your devotion points, how often you craft, etc. But I do a lot of crafting with aether crystals, and I do a lot of devotion point altering. So I'm using a lot of aether crystals. So I tend to go through anywhere with aether crystals very thoroughly because I need more aether crystals all the time. Beyond this, though, there are sections of the game that completely lack aether crystals that I am just not interested in fully exploring unless I have a specific reason to, and therefore I will generally blitz those and just get them over with as quickly as possible. Totem here, which is really nice. I'll get rid of these guys first. Goodbye. Boom. We'll go ahead and activate a health potion a little early there. And we'll slap everyone down. And that's, yeah, pretty easy. Ta-da. Alright. No. Avoid touched, I definitely don't need that. Too weak. Interesting. Poison acid resistance goes down. I need that, so we can't swap that. That's for pets. That's strange and not nearly as good. Nonsense. Pets. Alright. No.
Much later.
Alright, well, that was an old friend who I haven't seen online in a very long time. He was studying abroad, and now he's back in America, so we were catching up. Pardon me for that. But it was definitely a great conversation. So now we will finish off good old Candle District here. Which, like I've said about most of Malmouth, it's fairly messy. But it's not itself particularly large. Did I? No. I honestly hate navigating Malmouth. It's just such a nightmare. Let's go ahead and read this really quick. Freeze these idiots. Get rid of these morons. Pick up this stuff even though none of it's worth actually equipping. But we won't talk about that, it's fine. My goodness. And goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. There we go. We'll just pop over here really quick. Get rid of these guys. Yep. That's nice. Just trying to navigate through here. Ugh. whole bunch of treasure, but most of this is going to be fairly useless stuff anyways. At this particular point. There is the rare off chance that you'll actually pick up a legendary or a really powerful epic or something like that. It is possible, which is why it's always worth at least checking them, but it is otherwise quite the pain in the neck. Boom. There's another point in the game at which having a couple of strong AoEs is really useful, because the Ethereals are another group of enemies that really prefer to overwhelm you with numbers rather than actual quality. Not that they don't have strong enemies that they can present to the fray, but generally speaking, their plan is just spam you with idiots. Basically. So we're just going to wander through here. Make sure we cover the entire location. Plop. Come on, there you go. There you go. Okay, you're not going to let me go down there yet. That's fine. Random guys helping out. Love to see it. There we go. Not really that much of a problem overall, honestly. Warning, grapple attacks on the rise. Good old 300 experience. I got that earlier today with another character too. That's pretty funny. This character, the character that I just picked that up with is level 11 for reference. That tells you what kind of diversity in levels you can actually pick that up in. It's just really funny to me. Good old 300 experience. Thanks, game. How did you know I needed that 300 experience at this point? Level 65. Oh yeah, I needed that 300 experience so badly. You can see, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but you can see where I'm actually just pushing kind of the edge of maybe being a hair too strong here. Because these guys are level 66, sure, but there are a couple of guys that are the very pale green with 64. So I am kind of pushing that a little bit more than maybe I would like to. But it'll work out, don't worry about it too much. Let me come out here. There's a couple of things to do out here. This is this famous gate we're supposed to be opening. The boy Chungus here, Bolog. You know what, we're gonna use Overguard even though it's really weak sauce right now. What the heck? Despite its weak sauceness, he still can't do anything with me. Nice. Interesting. That's nice. I love this relic so much. I'm kind of excited to get that. Hello, is that an offhand? Yeah, I was hoping that was a single-hand weapon. That is the first of the two. The other one's on the other side, obviously. Or is it? No, never mind. I just have to go out there and talk to the guy now. And then finish the rest of the Candle District. Sorry, for some reason I thought there was two. I like how he teleports, but the entire rest of the Black Legion just sits there. It makes no sense. And then they'll just show up later on. It's totally fine. Let me just wipe these guys out really quick right here. Boom. Oh, nope, they don't like that. They won't let me do it anymore. Okay. I was hoping for like a body to kick over or something, but no such luck. I will. Just a quick jaunt around. There's not much left of this area. You kind of loop around over here. And maybe there's more than I'm really originally thinking, but it's fine. It's not nearly as large as it looks. It's just complicated to actually traverse, like I've been saying the whole time. Just a pain in the neck. Now what I want to know is who built these bridges? Was that the rebels? Or whatever they're called? The survivors? I don't quite know what they call themselves. Are they technically a revolution, or are they resistance? Like, I would think they would technically be resistance. Resistance fighters. Now, if you have very low damage, you might find these ethereal people to be somewhat difficult because they do bust out a kind of shield around them that absorbs a certain amount of damage, so if you aren't doing enough damage to punch through that and do enough health damage, you could see yourself having some problems with this area. So you have to make sure that you have at least decent enough, ideally group damage, to be able to take care of a group of them, because some of them do have the ability to heal, and just having high single target damage may work, but if it's not enough, then you're going to have problems, and it just becomes this mess. It becomes very disturbing very quickly. So it is something you need to keep an eye out on, because otherwise you will find yourself getting absolutely stopped by these people. The various Arcanist ethereal people. They can be very tough to get rid of if your damage output is too weak. You really should have at least 3 different damaging abilities that you can use to theoretically whack down a target. So just keep that in mind, that this area can be a lot more difficult if you cannot put out the kind of damage you need to punch through the shield and kill the Arcanists before they heal each other, get their shield back up, what have you. Not all of them heal, but some definitely do. So it is just something to be aware of if you're going through here. This is, of course, helped by the fact that this entire area is technically optional until Ultimate, so you can, if you want to, just not come here in Veteran and in Elite and leave this for Ultimate difficulty when you would definitely have those abilities and better equipment. So it really is up to you, technically, whether or not you even want to go through Malmouth. The only actual reason I'm going through it this time, there's 2 reasons I'm going through it in Veteran. First off is that they can potentially drop a lot of good things for my combination. As you have seen, I can find some nice shields here. Additionally, there is the good old showing the new players everything kind of thing, which, again, I've been rather religious about. Almost religious about. So those are the 2 reasons here. If I was a combination, well, for future combinations, future characters, where my combination does not get any benefit from any of the monster and frequent drops, this might well be a location I would pass over the first 2 times, because I simply don't need anything here. It's entirely possible. It would depend on my combination, what build I was going for, and a couple of other factors. But it wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed that I would be going through here. You need to go through the main campaign, obviously. But you don't need to go necessarily through Malmouth or the Forgotten Gods, at least not past the Conclave of the 3 in Forgotten Gods. I could, if I really wanted to, right now, move up to Elite. But that wouldn't really suit the purpose of this particular series. The next character I may do that with. depending on the combination and, again, what I'm building and whether or not I can get anything useful out of this area, and how badly I need aether crystals as well. Hello. You're a pleasant surprise. You're a very dead surprise, though. There we go. Okay. You are the monster infrequent drop for that guy. This is, I assume, the belt? No. Yes. So, keep that in mind that you don't necessarily have to go through here. So if you are having a hard time working through here because of the Arcanists, just don't. You don't have to. Save it up for Ultimate. There's plenty of opportunities in Elite to grab pretty copious amounts of equipment levels, etc. And if you come into Elite and or Ultimate a little under leveled, you'll at least start off having a higher likelihood of getting cool stuff until you catch up in level. So it'll balance out eventually. All you really need to do is make sure you go through the main campaign properly of veterans, so that way you can get the items you need to withstand the drop in resistances that you will inevitably face when you switch difficulties. Because that's what's going to kill you. That's the problem. Oh, hello. Look, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, where you can sometimes get really cool stuff. Now, I don't need this for my particular combination or for my build. It's completely useless to me. Was that a blue item up there? No, that was a shadow. But that is just an example of, yeah, you can get pretty cool stuff out of these random little things you can kick over or whatever. Now, I'm not really expecting much in these buildings here, but it is worth checking them out really quickly. Good little hero. Nice. Excellent opportunity for experience gains. Possibly some good drops. Let's find out. Come on. You're summoning Aether Storms. I hate you. Just instantly. They'll overguard you. Goodbye. Stop summoning those. We're gonna grab these and run. Never mind if we didn't need to. Nah, not really anything worthwhile. Yeah, I'll take less Aether Storms in my life, thank you. Goodbye. No. Get. Alright. Now we're gonna go up here. Good old Shattered Reality. Shattered Reality is always a keyword for combination Aether Chaos damage. Always. Does not matter if it actually increases the ability called Shattered Reality. The keyword itself increases Aether and Chaos damage. Together at the same time. It is generally intended for occultists and and either arcanists or necromancers, specifically in combination with occultists, but it is possible to use that rather effectively with demolitionists instead of occultists as well, or if you're feeling particularly rambunctious, inquisitors. There we go. Oh yeah. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Yeah. Distant moans of the the damned, I guess. Hey, you. Drop that. Oh, you survived that. Really? Oh, I can't see you. There we go. No, I can't see you because you're dead. Nope. Oh yeah, these people. I forget how to do these people. Hold on. That's right. Hey, yeah, I did it. Okay. I could not remember the specific combination of things, so I actually had to read that one. It's been a long time since I had that conversation. Yeah. Now, there's a reason you might... I think there's a reason that you could potentially want to kill them, but I can't remember. I think it's drops, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I would have to check my old notes. Or just... Actually, it would be just faster to do it on Grim Tools, because I don't know if they've adjusted that. Probably. It would probably, yeah, be better to check Grim Tools. I'll have to do that afterwards. Thankfully, I've gotten a... Hey, yes. Recipe. I'm gonna take a closer examination of that when I kill these guys separately, so that way... Oh, man, I didn't want to pick that up quite yet. But alright. But I just pick up this thing? Yeah. Okay, so the Empowered Sky Shard Spellblade is pretty good. You'll notice. Now, is it better than the Shard of Astrakarn? Maybe. That remains to be seen. But it's a pretty good time. I might keep good old Shard of Astrakarn, though, because I do really enjoy the Chilling Presence. I find that very useful. Since I do actually have a specifically melee attack, and you'll notice we've cleared out this whole area, we've looped quite nicely back around, and we're just going to be able to exit back down into the sewers, no problem. This is one of, despite the actual aggravation of traversing it, the overall design is very well implemented where you can do that, where you can just loop around like that so amazingly seamlessly. It's quite well designed in that particular aspect. I hate the sheer amount of stairs you can go through, but man. Yeah. And I didn't... Alright, fine. We'll break the crates now, I guess. Now I just want to make sure... I thought there was somebody else to talk to. No. Yes. This guy. Yeah, that's just going... Okay, so we're going to end the episode here. This is the second half / the final stretch of Malmouth here. So I am going to end it here, and we'll finish Malmouth in the next episode. So... With that being said, thank you all very much for joining me, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and please leave any comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, any of that. Please leave them down in the comments below. I do read them, and thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.